Hola everyone! It's been a while. We're going to catch you up on what we've been doing. We've been inside about a month, and we're going to spend the next 2 months finishing up what Peace Corps calls a community diagnostic. So basically, we are getting to know the community by just introducing ourselves to anyone and everyone that we don't know, and just trying to learn about the community, the strengths and the weaknesses, so that we can eventually start planning what types of projects we want to implement at the end of our 3 months. And the reason this is important is because without knowing the needs of the community, we might end up wasting time on some project that they don't even want, or that might not even help as many people as we thought it would. So that's why these 3 months are really important. Also, I think that coming in with the attitude that the problems that we're trying to solve are really difficult, and to come in with that attitude that the people in our community wouldn't have already solved them if they could is problematic. And if we thought like that, I don't think we'd make very good Peace Corps volunteers. So, yeah.
Yeah, the community diagnostic all starts with just being as outgoing as possible and introducing yourself to people, asking them what's important to them. It's definitely aided by our American celebrity status. Just walking down the street here draws a crowd sometimes, especially with the kids, some of whom may have never seen a white American before. So, just we definitely draw a crowd.
Some of the most popular topics of discussion are definitely Nueva York. Everyone says, "What part of Nueva York are you from?" And then begins the discussion about, well, actually New York's just one state of many in the United States, and we're from a state called Georgia. And it's something that I guess I was surprised. It was a big surprise to me that everyone here thought, or not, I can't say everyone, a lot of people think that New York equals the United States, and it just made me realize how things like exposure to maps is privilege. I never would have thought that being able to access a map whenever I wanted to was privilege, but it is, because here a lot of people majority don't have computers, and if they do have a smartphone, they don't always have internet, if they have internet at all. So being able to just pull up a map is not something majority of the people can do. So of course they aren't familiar with the geography.
And for those that don't know, there is a huge population of Dominicans in New York especially, and that's the reason why so many people confuse the two, is because everybody's friends and family have moved to New York or Nueva York. And that's the reason why that's what everybody here knows. Yeah, that's the way so much of the information here is shared. When there is less internet access or less reference materials, it's person to person, face to face, and that's the reason that for the confusion. Exactly. What else do we talk a lot about the heat? Just like in the U.S., weather is an easy surface level topic to start with, but I think it's even more justified here, or more. It makes more sense that it would be a topic of discussion, because the weather can it plays so much bigger of a role in everybody's lives. I mean, for one, this is an agricultural community, and their livelihood depends on the rain and the weather, but also the elements. You just can't escape the elements here like you can in the U.S. You can't retreat to your air-conditioned bedroom. And in the heat of the day, even going in your room with the lights off and the fan on, it's easily over 80 degrees, maybe over 90.
And it can keep kids, daily life can stop because of the rain. For instance, a lot of the kids that go to my school live across the river, and if it rains too much, they can't get to school because the bridge floods.
We work hard and we start conversations just like in the U.S. with these easy conversation starters, but we really are working hard to get to deeper stuff, to talk about education and politics and the economy and healthcare, and understand how those topics look from the eyes of a Dominican, and understanding how they work, because we don't know, and also just kind of what some of the different perspectives here are, because even within our tiny little town, they definitely vary very widely.
So needless to say, we take a lot of notes because at the end of meeting with people for several hours, it's hard to keep everything straight, and it's very important that we document what we're doing because it's easy to just generalize and be like, oh, it seems like everyone says the clinic here isn't good and they have to go to the hospital in the city, but maybe that's not actually fact, so to be able to go back to our spreadsheet where we have all of our notes and say, well, actually out of the 50 people we asked, more do go to the clinic here. So keeping notes helps us stay a little more objective.
Yeah, it's definitely easy to get overwhelmed with the information overload and trying to take it all in. Some of the other big challenges, just one to start is nicknames, or as they say here, apodos. Everybody here has 3 or 4 names. They all have, most people introduce themselves with their first name and their middle name, like maybe Pedro Julio is a gentleman we met the other day, and that's how he'll introduce himself, and he'll also usually give his 2 last names of his paternal and maternal sides of the family. But they don't actually call each other by any of those 4 names. They usually have a 5th name, something short, and like a lot of times it'll be Moreno, and that comes from the person's hey Candy, ¿cómo está?
¿Qué pasó? Están perdidos ustedes.
Es un video.
No me visitan.
Hacemos un video. ¿Cómo está?
Hola,
Hola, saludos,
Gané
saludos.
el video.
Hola, saludos. Soy Donald.